Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time, but I still had about one video's worth left of Meal Mondays from when I was in the Dominican Republic. So I decided to share with you guys when I made fried pork chops, fried apples, and some sweet corn. So these are the ingredients that I used. I know you've probably seen them before. Here I was just getting my skillet ready and then prepping my flour to dredge my pork chops in order to coat them to fry. So here I'm just making sure my skillet is nice and hot and ready for me to add my vegetable oil. I added about half of the entire bottle, enough so that when I put the pork chops in, they would be able to at least be submerged in the oil enough to fry. Now I'm going back to seasoning my flour, some salt, some pepper. I didn't use all of the same ingredients that I used to season my pork chops just because I didn't want it to be too salty or anything like that. So I just added a little bit, mixed that flour up, and then I was ready to put in my pork chops in order to coat them. They were rinsed thoroughly. Make sure you always wash your meat, and seasoned as well before putting them into the flour. Shake, shake, shake it up, and then you are ready to put them into your grease to fry. I just realized I really handle my food like I'm afraid to get dirty. Like, girl, it's not gonna come back alive. Now we have the apples, and this is the part that just really, if you have better actual kitchen utensils, it will probably go a lot better. But I rinsed all my apples off. I had 3 apples. Went to go check on my pork chops, and of course, like the rookie that I am, I tried to flip these pork chops with this little fork, not trying to touch them, and watch what happens. Yup, burn myself. But back to my apples now. I have the only knife that I own, which is a butter knife. Definitely use a stronger knife to cut apples, because trying to cut apples with a butter knife is not the move. Like, look how hard I was struggling, y'all. Like, I could have easily taken my finger off trying to cut this entire apple with a butter knife. I don't know how many apples I was in at this point, but it took so long I got hungry. I made sure to cut my slices very thin to core the apples, get all the seeds out, all of that good stuff. You don't have to take the skin off if you don't want to, but that's always an option. At this point, the pork chops are done. The apples have been sliced, so now I'm ready to move on to my next step. I had to wash out the skillet because I needed to use it for the apples. I got my crock pot out so I could cook the corn in there, and here I am putting in 3 tablespoons, good hefty sizes, just to coat the entire skillet with butter. And then this is what I used as brown sugar. I believe it was brown cane sugar, but this is just what I used instead. And I poured that all into the skillet first before adding the apples, just so I could start some sort of glaze or something like that. I really thought I was Chef Emerald in here, Bobby Flay, somebody, I don't know. But in my mind, it sounded good. You want to make sure you stir the butter and the brown sugar together very well, just to make sure it mixes and caramelizes correctly. That way you don't just have a big pile of mush in your skillet. These were all the apple slices I got from those 3 apples. They were pretty average size apples, so I think I cut pretty small slices. Got those into the skillet, tossed all around, spread out. Make sure you pick the slices apart so they're not stuck together, so that all the slices have the chance to get coated evenly. So you want to give the apples a good toss around a few times just to make sure you get all of them coated very nicely. And now I'm going to add my cinnamon on top. And you basically want to make sure that I feel like brown sugar and cinnamon go together with anything you use brown sugar and cinnamon with, like oatmeal, cookies, anything like that. So you basically want to make sure you get it evenly coated around. So I just shook a good circle around to coat. That's pretty much my motto for seasoning. Just get a good circle to coat everything once or twice. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it works for me. And you know, these apples turned out good, so it worked for this recipe too. So now we're going to cover the apples since they're all nice and coated, just to let those flavors start to simmer, and we can move on to the next part of the meal, which is the sweet corn. I don't know if I learned this from my mom or my grandma or my aunt, but just whenever you use canned things, make sure you rinse off the lid, wipe off the top. That goes for sodas, things like that as well, just to get any of the warehouse germs and transport germs off. And so they're not in your meal, not in your stomach. I already had a stomach issue while I was in the Dominican Republic, so just anything I could safeguard from that will be fine. I drained off all of the juice just because you'll see in a minute I'm going to add butter to the dish as well, and it's going to create its new own juices, and I prefer that a lot more. So I only did 1 large scoop of butter for the corn, just because it was only 1 can and not a lot of corn, so I feel like I didn't need a lot in there. Get that all stirred up, and then you can put the lid on that to let it start to cook through and get all of its juices flowing. So just to give it that extra kick of sweetness, because I love my fried apples super, super sweet, I added just a little bit of honey, just to give it a little extra sweetness. That was my favorite honey in the Dominican Republic, and I really need to find out how to get it here because I cannot find honey as good as that was. So after all that time, my meal is prepared, and you know how we do it. We have to start every meal with our prayer. Thank you, God, for this day, for this food. Amen. Time to chow down. So it looks like the corn was a go. Next, we have to see what the fried apples are hitting for. Yes, the fried apples hit too. So now we got to go 3 for 3. Are we going to hit it out the park? She did it again, y'all. I got another meat added to my archive, okay? Y'all know I only do baked chicken, but now I'm stepping it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this video and any of my other videos. If you try any of the recipes, please let me know how it works out for you. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at _darkandlovelyg, and there will be more content to follow. Until next time.